The tubing I'm using is some stuff I got off eBay. It's 6mm inner diameter, 10mm outer diameter silicone tube, 60 sure. I'm using one of my cheaper kitchen knives. I prefer it to a hobby knife or a pen knife. It's got a longer, straighter edge, makes cutting it a lot easier. First of all, I cut a ring out of the tubing, length of the hot window. That's all there is to it. Next part is to cut the patch from our ring here. So if you can put it in upside down like that, what you can actually do, I found, is if you put a little mark in there, that should give you the perfect place to cut vertically through the ring. So let's do that. There we go. One patch. Let's check that fits in the window. Not bad. Don't often get that first time. It's a lot of trial and error involved, especially at first. Right. So now the next part is gluing this in place, and to line it up nicely, I use some 6mm airline I use for HPA setups. It could be anything 6mm and round. This shove it in there, gives you a nice rounded inner surface in there to get your patch set straight and stops it deforming while you're cutting it a bit later on. I use just some super glue. There we go, that's more like it. Tiny little bit. And you really don't want any of this getting on that black tubing, just on the metal window. Now you just need to make sure that this is evenly protruding all the way around. Got the patch perfectly centered, and on this side. Make sure these two side bits are pushed fully down. So while that's doing, I'm going to flat hot the rubber. Since this one's going onto an AEG barrel, the little ridge on the inner surface in here is going to have to come off. On a VSR barrel, it's got a little groove it seats into. Off with that. So right, hot rubber's over the end there. Just need to turn it inside out. Pop it over the end of a barrel to stabilise it. And we're just going to run a knife along here to just slice the nub off. Be really careful not to cut too deep. There we go. Cut up to the collar at the back there. I'm just going to cut down to meet it. There we go. Just run some sandpaper over that to smooth it out, and that's your rubber flat hot ready to go over it. Now just got to turn it back the right way again. Alright, now this is dried, let's trim the patch down to the outer barrel. I'm going to leave the tubing in place here, as it will stabilise the patch and stop it deforming underneath. Essentially what we're going to do is cut alongside the edge of the outer barrel to trim it level. If you try and start from down here, you'll probably just push the patch off the glue. So I'm going to start from just off the centre here. So I'm cutting into it. A really sharp knife helps here so it doesn't move the patch too much. A nice long stroke like that. There you go. And then flip it around and do the other side you missed. You can run some sandpaper over that to smooth it out a bit more, but get that tube out. So next step is put the flattened hot rubber over the R-hot patch. I'm going to seal it in using RTV silicone. Just put some on a screwdriver for making application a bit easier. I'm just going to Don't need much, just need a thin layer all the way around. Do not get this on the inside of your barrel because it just doesn't come off. More. Alright, that's on. Line the hopper up. And that just goes on there. I use a bit of that to smooth it around. One more thing just to seal it really well, bit of Teflon tape, and wrap this around. Only need a couple of layers. There we go. All done.